There is little evidence that Donald Trump cares particularly about Cuba or Cubans, but to be the president who changed Cuba, well, that he likes the sound of. And the votes of those Cubans who live here, of course.
He wants his legacy to be the man that prolonged a genocide, starved Cuban-Americans, kidnapped a president, a democratically elected president from Venezuela, and someone who participated in an illegal act of aggression on Iran. Like, what are we doing here? This stupid orange baby, everyone has basically been pacifying him for what?
I'm as real can get. What you see?
Buongiorno freaks and geeks, welcome back to the channel. With the FIFA World Cup only days away, I think this will be a good time to speak about America. Leaving to one side that they funded a genocide, that they are currently participating in an illegal war on Iran, and they kidnapped the president of Venezuela. They are trying to starve the people of Cuba in order to make them even more easy to invade with military action. And to be fair, I'm sick and tired of believing that Qatar did sports washing in 2022, when we are about to witness the most obvious case of sports washing in human history. But don't take my word for it. Why don't you ask the people that were shot near the England training camp? So with that in mind, let's look at this quick segment from Sky News. But before I press play, please don't forget to hit the buttons for like, subscribe, and tell me down below, what does America have to do before the world turns its back on it?
Let's talk about Cuba, because have you seen what's happening there right now? It is collapsing, and that's because of a very deliberate policy by President Trump.
Okay, coming out of the gate swinging. Normally when you see pictures of Cuba and they show the poverty, they are quick to blame it on communism instead of the true enemy, America. And I know the correspondent just mentioned Donald Trump, but Donald Trump is a symptom, not the cause. This has been American policy since the 1960s. So trying to blame what is happening in Cuba right now firmly at the doorstep of Trump is like people trying to explain Israel's problem with the Palestinians is solely the responsibility of Benjamin Netanyahu and not indoctrination of the Israeli people.
It's got no energy, it's got no oil, it's got no money, it's got nothing.
Yes, of course, if someone lives down the road from me and I break their legs and I rob them every single day when they leave their house, I can't now come out and say, well, that person can't even walk properly. That guy's never got money. Why doesn't he work? It is ridiculous. And the fact that Donald Trump can say, and again, this isn't about Donald Trump, this is American policy. Donald Trump is just the most mask off about it.
So what's he up to? And what do Cubans here in America make of a policy that's bringing their homeland to its knees?
So Tampa, Havana have had a long history.
Cuba's not our enemy.
Cubans love Donald Trump.
Fuck off.
In case you wasn't aware, I'm quite a big fan of Cuba and everything it represents, especially to the communist cause, whether it's Fidel Castro or Che Guevara. I love them both. But when I see someone celebrating the policies of a president who's trying to starve every single person on a Caribbean island, it just fills the pit of my stomach with dread.
Ybor, a neighborhood of Tampa, but it's not the Florida you might imagine. The culture here is Latin, the industry cigars, and the roots mostly Cuban.
And in case you were wondering, it's not just Tampa, it's also Miami has a massive Cuban influence, although Miami at the moment has a wider Hispanic and Latino influence. So in regards to Tampa, I imagine the people there descend from Cubans who left over 60 years ago. So 1, 2, or even 3 generations back. And they are mostly people that are anti-communist and landowners who got driven out because they were exploitative assholes. But I also imagine a small percentage of those Cubans probably descend from doctors who were tempted to come over by George Bush, you know, when he was trying to make sure there was a health crisis on the island because they dared to stand up to America and implement communism. Golly.
Even the famous street birds are, they say, descendants of Cuban chickens.
My name's Patrick Manteiga.
The Manteiga family roots here are deep. Son, father, and grandfather before him.
I'm the third generation publisher of La Gaceta newspaper. It was founded in 1922 by my grandfather, Victoriano, who immigrated to Tampa in 1913 from Cuba. I don't think a lot of people understand that the word Cuban-American has a lot of different meanings here in America.
Yeah, because before Fidel Castro, Che Guevara and others launched that successful revolution, Cuba used to be the playboy party island to America, just like the British use Ibiza today. But some might argue Britain uses Ibiza a lot better than the Americans used Cuba before the 1960s.
If you're a Cuban American whose family came over before 1959, 1960, you love Kennedy, you're a Democrat. Fidel Castro is not your issue every day. If you're a Cuban who came over from 1959 to 1970, you're a Republican, you hate John F. Kennedy, and you're eaten up by revenge and anger on the Castro regime.
But what is that revenge and anger that he decided to redistribute the wealth that you were holding? That's what you're angry about. To be honest, when you look at the Russian Revolution, those Cubans that were so disgruntled with Fidel Castro were lucky that they left with their lives. So whatever.
If you are somebody who came in after that, you probably still have family there, and you're probably very concerned about how that family is doing there.
Here's the divide.
Marco Rubio, stop killing Cubans!
This past week in Washington, Trump's Cuban-American Secretary of State heckled.
Marco Rubio is murdering his own people. He's never been to Cuba.
The administration's blockade policy to squeeze Cuba into submission or collapse, well, Marco Rubio is the architect behind that.
We're fucked.
Ay. Talk about... They got a Cuban American to unleash some of the worst policies this embargo has seen in over 65 years. Like, you couldn't make this up. Just like what Malcolm X famously said. They will pay one of us to kill one of us to say it was one of us. And Marco Rubio claims to be a Catholic. Can you imagine that? Like, you claim to be a Catholic, you claim to be pro-life, but you're actively starving people on the island where your ancestors came from. I mean, there's self-hatred, and then there is Marco Rubio.
It's very sad in Cuba. The issue is that why is it sad? What is causing this? Our American administration wants you to believe it's all the mistakes of Cuba. It's bad leadership, it's bad this, it's bad that. And I'm not going to defend the Cuban administration and government.
But why not? When they've been under blockade for over 60 years, the longest embargo in UN history, by my count. How can you sit there as someone who descends from Cuba and not say, hold on, you're not letting them thrive. You are really taking away every opportunity they can have to be self-determined. But because you're American, you still have to preference everything you say with, I'm not defending the Cuban government. Like, at this point, someone has to, for crying out loud.
But I will tell you that after understanding US-Cuba policy, that I don't think there's any country in the world that could survive and have any prosperity under what the US is currently doing to Cuba and has done to Cuba since the embargo was placed in the mid-60s.
So why can't you defend the Cuban government? You just said in your own words, no other country would be able to survive under such pressure from the richest and most powerful country the planet has ever seen. Yet Cuba is still here, limping, actually not even limping anymore, crawling on the floor, but they are still here. And yet their educational entitlement is much better than the United States. You have Americans going to Cuba to become doctors because we've seen what Cuban doctors can do, being sent out like guardian angels to other nations that needed support during the COVID pandemic. The fact that they can make their own vaccines when it comes to different types of cancers because they can't get the medical supplies into the country. How can we sit here and just think, yeah, this is okay? Like, what else do you want America to do? Like, goddamn.
That decades-long embargo has shaped the history here. The cigar factories are in this town because of its proximity to Cuba. The workers are Cuban-American, but the tobacco no longer, not since the 1960s. There is little evidence that Donald Trump cares particularly about Cuba or Cubans, but to be the president who changed Cuba, well, that he likes the sound of. And the votes of those Cubans who live here, of course.
He wants his legacy to be the man that prolonged a genocide, starved Cuban Americans, kidnapped a president, a democratically elected president from Venezuela, and someone who participated in an illegal act of aggression on Iran. Like, what are we doing here? This stupid orange baby, everyone has basically been pacifying him for what? So he can leave a much worse planet than he found it. God damn.
Up the road at the wholesale fruit market, business seems good. And support for President Trump, well, we found that to be strong.
Cubans love Donald Trump.
You know, his policy is punishing everyone in Cuba.
The people, I know people that don't care if they're gonna break free. They don't care for the punishment.
He doesn't know anyone in Cuba right now. And if he does and they speak to him, I can imagine it's only swear words he's getting. Of course, this guy's going to be against Cuba. He's a goddamn business owner. So he came to America where he could start up his own business and exploit his own people. I guarantee you right now, he's exploiting Cuban-Americans because that's what America facilitates. And he hates that he wasn't able to do that on the island where his ancestors came from. This idiot, gosh. Oh, it's so annoying right now. Ah, gosh.
Price worth paying.
Of course, yes. Yes.
So you'll vote for Trump?
Yes, I did.
And again?
Yeah, I will.
Huh? How can you vote for him again? Like Trump's done his 2 terms. Like, do you mean in the midterms in November? Because even then, that's not really voting for Trump, is it? It's just voting for Congress, but maybe I'm just misunderstanding the American political system. But okay, I guess he would vote for Trump again. And if Trump does just forego all elections and become supreme leader / dictator of the United States, I guess this Cuban-American business owner will be up for that as well, because he's such a twat.
A mixture of hope then, with a sense that anything must be better than a status quo that's endured for so many decades.
I have family in Cuba that have suffered greatly due to this dictatorship. Yeah. And just like Venezuela and all the people and citizens of Venezuela who have honestly had such a great outlook and positive view on what's happened, I think it's going to be the same thing for Cuba personally.
Mike, first of all, that's probably not his real name. Secondly, Mike has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And I can guarantee you that earpiece he had in was probably someone feeding him lines for this interview. I mean, how can you be so ill-informed, so just bogus, so just lost in the sauce? My lord.
Tampa's politics is fascinating because it's not quite the same as much of Florida. The vote is tighter here. Trump won in 2024 in Tampa, but in 2020, Biden won. In 2016, it was Clinton, against the grain of this Republican-red state. On 7th Street, the Dirty Shame is the local hangout, where I found Victor De Mayo, a local lobbyist, passionate Democrat, proud Cuban-American, and no fan of Trump.
I was fortunate to go on a very historic trip when President Obama opened up Cuba for the first time in many, many decades.
2016.
Yes, I actually sat there in Cuba with President Obama and Raul Castro. It was a wonderful period for Cuba.
And thereby lays out the duality of Barack Barry Obama. On the one hand, he was the master of drone strikes. I mean, he used the Middle East as a drone strike testing ground. There wasn't a drone strike that Barack Obama did not like or enjoy. And not to forget, he left Libya in ruins after taking out General Gaddafi. So you have that. And then on the other hand, he struck the deal with Iran, which Donald Trump ripped up. He opened up Cuba, where Donald Trump has closed it back in on itself. And it's actions like this that are used as examples that maybe liberals, Democrats, people in the current Labour Party in the United Kingdom can be pushed left. And I would say, no, that doesn't mean they can be pushed left. They just understand that those actions that may seem progressive on the outside just prolong this system we currently live in, which is late stage capitalism. And without these kinds of acts, the house of cards will topple even quicker. Does that mean that Donald Trump won't get what he wants by destroying Cuba? I don't know. I just hope he doesn't. And I just hope people are able to rise up in America and stop this government from starving another nation on their doorstep. It is just horrific to see.
It's a reminder for sure of a different time. So what will happen this time?
I really don't think Marco Rubio knows. I don't think Donald Trump knows. I think if they go in there to Cuba to do what exactly? It's not going to be Venezuela.
It's going to be more like Iran than Venezuela.
Yes. The United States is very good about dropping bombs, but they're very bad about winning the hearts and minds of the people.
Yeah, I don't think America has ever won the hearts and minds of anyone. They were in Iraq for how many years? They were in Afghanistan for how many years? All they did was just occupy and then had to leave. And it will be the same with Cuba. Why the hell would they welcome in Americans as heroes when they spent the best part of 65 years starving them to death and making sure they don't thrive or have any opportunities? Why would anyone welcome that? Are you crazy? Are Americans like tapped or something? There's no way anyone's going to welcome you in. At the end of the day, not only do we have to put pressure on our own government to lobby America, but Americans need to do much more. I mean, you allowed your country to participate in this century's genocide. Are you going to watch them starve and invade another small nation? Like, come on, Americans, you need to do much more. And I will say again what I said in the beginning. This World Cup is the ultimate showcase in sports washing, and I don't think anyone should give it any viewership. Don't give it anything. I want this World Cup to have the lowest viewership in history since records began. But that's what I think. Tell me what you think below. I would love to read it. If you stayed with me up to this point, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. If you enjoy audiobooks, I voice one on spotting red flags early in relationships. Link in the description below. And remember, once we understand politics, we will make better choices. Don't forget to hit the buttons for like, subscribe, and I will see you very soon. Ciao.
Show me the way to go home. Show me the way. Show me the way to get to Soulville, because that's where I belong.